going on, guys? Inside New York Sports Podcast here, and today we have some New York Giants offseason talk, and it is about Jeremiah Love and the NFL Draft, and we got some news from Adam Schefter specifically of what is going on in the top four and even the Giants pick. Did Adam Schefter essentially leak the number 5 selection? That is the biggest question. But before I get into the video, of course, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. But Jeremiah Love, it is rumored that it doesn't start until the Giants at pick 5 for Jeremiah Love to be selected. Adam Schefter doesn't expect the Raiders to take him. Obviously, they're taking Mendoza. The Jets are most likely taking Arvell Reese. The Cardinals are an interesting play, but Adam Schefter doesn't expect him to go there. And the Tennessee Titans, where I had a post on of them being a potential selection, because if they can get him in that Brian Dable offense with Wanda Robinson, Cam Ward, etc., he'd be their best running back immediately. He doesn't see that. He sees it as the New York Giants, and what John Harbaugh wants is run-heavy offense, right? They do that in Baltimore with Derrick Henry. And yes, they throw the ball a lot as well, but the big thing is using the quarterback's legs, using the running backs, getting people in motion, and making a lot of explosive plays. And now I have two sides to this for the New York Giants, and it's obviously the pros and cons of if they wanted to draft a guy like Jeremiah Love, right? And it's interesting, but I wanted to get towards what they've done in free agency and why I don't want to say it makes sense, but I could see their vision, right? They sign Tremaine Edmonds, and they re-sign Mike McFadden. That is their linebackers, right? They feel pretty decent about that, but I expect them to make another move for them. They re-sign Jermaine Illuminor, Aaron Stinney, Joshua Azudu for offensive line. They haven't really progressed on any deals of interior offensive line. Kevin Zeitler's out there, and a few other pretty solid pieces out there as well. They signed Calvin Austin, re-signed Isaiah Hodgins, and signed Darnell Mooney for some weapons for Jackson Dart. The defensive line still needs to be worked on, right? You have Dexter Lawrence, Darius Alexander, and it's going to be interesting what they do with the defensive line heading into the season. And then Greg Newsome, Ardarius Washington, some cornerback and safety help as well. Those are the most notable moves. Obviously, they sign Isaiah Likely as well. It's another tight end, but he's more like a slot wide receiver, so another weapon. So that immediately eliminates Carnell Tate, in my opinion. I don't expect them to draft Carnell Tate as high as 5, and I don't expect them to take Jordan Tyson as high as 5. Now, for offensive line, you got Francis Muaga, Spencer Fennell, Caden Proctor, all those type of names. But here's the thing, and I'm going to start with the pros before we get into the cons. The pros are Jeremiah Love is an awesome player. Like, we cannot discredit him at all. He could be the best player in this draft. He's definitely a top-tier running back. And him and Scatterboo alone is really solid. Really solid, right? Jeremiah Love would be your, elusive, speedy back. And with Cam Scatterboo, he's more of your power back and fight for extra yards, and that's what you need, right? We saw Cam Scatterboo have a very solid rookie season before he got injured against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this kind of screams Lions 2.0 running back room, like with Jahmyr Gibbs. He would be your Jeremiah Love. Dave Montgomery is your Cam Scatterboo. The problem is, well, before we get into the problems, another thing, too, is this guy has the potential to raise this offense to another level, right? You get Jackson Dart, Jeremiah Love in the backfield, Pat Ricard as your fullback. You got Jeremiah Love at running back. Then your wide receivers, when Malik Neighbors is healthy, there's your wide receiver 1. Darnell Mooney, Isaiah Likely, Hodgins, Calvin Austin, Darius Slayton, if you even want to mention him. So it would easily raise the floor for the Giants offense extremely. Like, that is why if you take them, we have to accept it as Giants fans, and it elevates your offense. The offense wasn't the issue last year, but it makes you a really solid, piece. He's another weapon to the offense, right? He's 20 years old, so he's very, very young. really eliminates the usage of Devin Singletary, so I'm not really sure why they honestly brought him back, to be totally honest. But let's get into the cons. And the first thing I have highlighted is this a Saquon Barkley situation? Is this, what was it, 2018 they drafted him? You guys could fact check me there. But this screams 2018, where the team maybe doesn't, back in the day, 2017 leading up to 2018, have the hype like this team. But the idea of drafting a running back as high as 5th in the draft, where you're probably not drafting as high as 5 again with John Harbaugh, I don't expect the Giants to really be in that range. I expect them to be more in the 15, 20s, and maybe if they're able to land a Super Bowl in the 30s. But Saquon Barkley, it's kind of like the same thing. Super highly ranked running back in college, had a great season, and then they draft him when they have other holes of this team. The Giants have 2 picks in the top 100. And the Giants' offensive line is still not set. Interior offensive line is still a question mark. And your defense is still a question mark in certain areas, right? Linebacking room is thin. It's not great. Cornerbacks are somewhat addressed, but I don't know if it's truly what you want. You don't have a cornerback 1, in my opinion. You're having Paulson Adebo be your cornerback 1. Safeties, what do they think of Tyler Nubin? I know they signed Ardarius Washington. They have Javon Holland for the next 4 seasons, but where do they view Caleb Downs as well? What do you do with Tyron Tracy? Is his value high enough that you can get a 3rd-round pick for Tyron Tracy for a team that would love a guy like Tyron Tracy? 1,000 scrimmage yards the past 2 seasons. He is solid. He is a solid running back, in my opinion. Is he top 10? No. Is he top 15? Probably not. I'd say he's in the 20, 25 range, but for what he is and what his worth is right now, he's a damn good player. How would the workload really be if you acquired, drafted, whatever you want to call it, a Jeremiah Love? Because Cam Scatterby basically won the running back 1 role when he was fully healthy over Tyron Tracy. They still meshed very well. Like, they're still a really solid running back duo. But with drafting a guy like Love, is it 60-40? Is it 50-50? Is it 70-30 where we're only seeing Cam Scatterby really on 3rd downs as the power back and maybe a little bit in the passing game? I'm not sure. But the biggest thing is running backs are so replaceable in the NFL. You don't have to select a guy in the top 5 to be an explosive athlete and be the number 1 target on your offense. Your number 1 target is Malik Neighbors. You got to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. And then you can run the rock with Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterby, Tyron Tracy. The offense wasn't the issue, like I said. The running back room wasn't the issue either. They were very solid at running the football, and I fully expect that heading into next season, right? They attempted to get Kenneth Walker in the free agency class. They were unable to, as he ultimately went to the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's interesting, man. It really is. Like I said, wide receiver, don't expect that. Sonny Styles, I think it's at the top of their board. Caleb Downs, I think, is at the top of their board. I wouldn't necessarily rule out offensive line, but it's more interior offensive line, and the main guy there would be the guy from Penn State. Can't really remember his name, but he's a pretty solid interior offensive lineman. But you're not drafting that at pick 5, right? Like I said, in the wide receiver room, I addressed that. I think trading back isn't a bad idea either. Like, if you're not set in stone and you don't have a guy in place that you really want at 5, trade back. You don't have a 3rd-round pick this year. Trade back, get a bunch of draft capital. I fully expect the team, like, if Cincinnati wants to trade up, the Miami Dolphins want to get, scratch the Miami Dolphins. But maybe even the Chiefs. Do the Chiefs want to nail Caleb Downs at pick 5, right? There's some other teams out there that need some work. and could be a potential trade with the New York Giants. I'm not saying player for player. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm really not sure. I expect him to play this year with the New York Giants, to be honest. Depth is good, and if you want to keep rolling out Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, who just recently changed his number to number 3, by the way, in case you guys were wondering if you guys were planning on getting any jerseys anytime soon for this team, there's some other good players. If you don't want to go Sonny Styles, take Jacob Rodriguez in the second round. He probably will be there. It's a deep wide receiver, tight end class. Not like they're going to address that. They don't need to really. Wide receiver, sure. But I feel like with this team, you're not going to be drafting high. To really sum up this video, you're not going to really be drafting high after this season. At least I don't expect to. I don't expect John Harbaugh to come into this building and the Giants to only win 5 games. Even 6 games. Like, honestly, I expect this team to win 8+ games next year. They are the talk of the town in the NFL. People love what the Giants are building. They love the culture change with John Harbaugh. They love the hiring. They love the idea of having Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterby, Jackson Dart, all fully healthy. The offensive line was good last year. Is that because of Carmen Brasillo? With bringing in Mike Bloomgreen, is that going to is the Giants' offensive line going to regress? I'm not sure. But anyways, I don't really want them to take a running back at 5 because I feel like there's more cons than pros, to be totally honest. And, a Jeremiah Love would be an awesome addition. Like, I'll say that. He would be an awesome addition to this team. Drafting for need is not what I want the Giants to do, but with the way I've been talking in this episode, it feels like drafting for need is more what they want to do. Is Jeremiah Love better than Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles? That is the biggest question. Leave a like, comment, and of course, who do you want the Giants to select at pick number 5? But that is going to do it. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.